We've had a few comments on videos recently that have really stuck with us. People saying things like, "I've never heard of worldschooling before. What is that exactly?" More and more families are questioning whether traditional school fits their kids. And they're hearing this term worldschooling for the first time. But depending on who you ask, worldschooling can mean a lot of different things. And that confusion stops them from even considering it. So before you dive deep into cost, the systems, and how to make it work sustainably, it's important to slow down and define what people actually mean when they say the term worldschooling.
This video isn't about convincing anyone, it's about clarity, so you can decide whether worldschooling is right for your family. At its core, worldschooling is an approach to education that uses the real world as its classroom. So instead of learning about history, culture, language, and geography through books only, kids use real-world experiences by living in different communities, interacting with different cultures, and being immersed in new environments. So for instance, with our boys, we have seen their Spanish language explode by living in Central America the last 5 months. Because they're using it in everyday life, they're going to school where kids are speaking Spanish, the teachers are speaking Spanish to them in addition to English, and it's really helped connect the dots for them really quickly. But worldschooling isn't a single system. There isn't one curriculum, one system, or one right way to do it. Some families world school full-time. Some do it part-time as part of a gap year, for instance. And others combine it with traditional school or homeschool. But what they all share is that learning doesn't have to be confined to one building, 4 walls, or one system in order to be meaningful.
The initial reactions we get when we mention we're doing worldschooling with people who've never heard of it is usually surprise, intrigue. Their main concerns are usually about the structure and the learning experience for our kids. They feel like not doing the traditional school thing is going to interrupt the learning for our kids. Worldschooling is not educational chaos. It doesn't mean kids are not learning or there's no structure at all. It also doesn't mean you're constantly traveling or living out of a suitcase. That's the main reason that we do at least 3 months in one place. It keeps it manageable and not just a vacation. And it's not just for wealthy families or digital nomads with unlimited flexibility. Like we've shared in other videos, most families are just making very intentional trade-offs around work, housing, and their lifestyle.
People think that worldschooling means that we are on a constant vacation, and that we're constantly doing cool things, and we're constantly not working, and that it's a big party all the time.
Key to making worldschooling work sustainably is to make sure a certain chunk of it is boring. If you're not trying to see all of the stuff in Costa Rica like a tourist does in 1 week, you're just letting your kids settle, you're letting yourself settle, you're getting used to where to go for food and for healthcare.
It's really about immersing yourselves and your kids in a new environment to truly immerse into that new rhythm. Worldschooling isn't new, but more families are paying attention to it now more than ever. Part of that is because education itself is changing. More parents are questioning whether the traditional school system fits every child. Remote work has made location a lot more flexible for many families. And there's a growing desire for kids to understand the world, not just through screens, but through lived experience.
Living in different places has changed how our kids engage with learning. So they're being exposed to different learning systems. They're literally being immersed into nature with animals they've never seen before. All the language and the different cultures are really opening their minds, which is really what we're aiming for with worldschooling, is to create students of the world.
For many families, worldschooling isn't about escaping something. It's about aligning education, work, and family life more intentionally.
I assumed there wouldn't be many other families who were doing this, and it would be quite lonely, but it's been really quite the opposite. We've met so many like-minded families who are either already doing it, hardcore worldschooling, or would really love to do it.
World School curious. Worldschooling tends to work best for families who are comfortable with uncertainty and flexibility. Families who are willing to let learning look a little bit differently than when they grew up. And families that see education as something that happens all the time and not just within certain hours. It doesn't mean it's easy, and it doesn't mean it's the right choice for every family, or even every season of life. For some families, worldschooling is a long-term path, and for others, it's simply a chapter. Both are valid.
We met a lot of open-minded, adventurous families who were used to traveling before kids, and this is kind of an extension of allowing them to do it more. A lot of people are just not feeling that Western society, suburbia schooling system is really right for them anymore, and they're discovering this instead. If they have a lot of commitments at home, if they have a lot of family support they're dependent on at home, obviously if you have a job that won't allow you to travel the world, that is a big obstacle. If you're going into an office, then you should start working on a Coast financial dependence plan, which we'll make a video on later. Now that you know a little bit about what world schooling is, the next step is to start planning and figuring out if it's going to work for your family. It can't be done without a lot of logistical planning. You need to figure out the finances. You need to figure out if it's going to work for every member of your family. Without covering those three core areas, world schooling will be very stressful instead of empowering. Understanding what world schooling is helps, but understanding how it works day to day is what makes it realistic. Our sanity, our relationship, without the systems that we built to make this work, it'd be way too much. We'd be exhausted.
Yeah, burnout.
So we learned out pretty quickly that again, this is not us traveling to see as much of the world as we can. We are just living in different places in the world with our kids, and obviously we're going to see some cool things as we go, but the main idea is to experience the different cultures and the different types of schools and meet different people. That's the priority. In our previous videos, we've talked about how we make the finances work, how we afford this long term, and the systems in place to make this sustainable long term. That's where you should go next. Because understanding the idea is one thing, but understanding if it's going to work for your family is what really matters. If you have any questions, just let us know in the comments.